Welcome to the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show this glorious Wednesday. Today we're talking food cravings, what causes them and how to overcome them. I am really excited to bring this show to you this week. Here we are. The third week in February. Isn't this week going slowly but fast? My. As you jump on, just say hi, let me know where you're from. And of course, if you can hear me, that always helps. Big shout out to the sponsors of the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show, NAS Cosmetics. That's NASCOSMETICS, nascosmetics.com.au. If you're not using NAS Cosmetics and you're over the age of 50, you're missing out on something wonderful, totally chemical-free, toxin-free, and natural makeup that is just delightful to wear. Can I tell you, where we are in Queensland, which is kind of very hot. I'm talking about hot, I need to turn the aircon on. It's very hot and steamy. This is just a brilliant brand of makeup. Doesn't clog the pores, comes off really easily with when you're cleansing your skin, but is also waterproof, which is really interesting. So check out NAS Cosmetics. They're great sponsors of the show. Well, today we're talking one of my favorite topics. And, this is for many people, this is the area that really stops them from really feeling that stronger, leaner, and lighter, and that's food cravings. You can have all the intentions in the world to do, eat well and conscious eat and look after your well-being. Then those food cravings take over, and it can be really difficult to overcome them. So in the show today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the 3 reasons why we have them and how to overcome it at the end. And of course, we will be talking about EFT, which is a brilliant way to help you overcome one aspect of food cravings. We're going to go through these at the moment. So why is this suddenly so important? I mean, it's suddenly so important. This issue around the food that we're eating is so critical. And this is the reason why. I've been in this game for a long time. And, having been in the fitness industry and working in and out of this industry for a period of time, I've seen things come and go. So in the 70s, of course, we took low fat. Everything was low fat. I'm not sure if you remember, but, maybe many of you had parents that went on the Pritikin diet because it was all about low fat and cholesterol. And, of course, in the 80s, it swung right back the other way and all became about high fat. And the Atkins diet, which is not unlike what we're talking about today. They talk about keto dieting. It's very similar. But then everybody ended up with bad breath and very unwell. So in the 90s, it was all about sugar, because in that, in that low fat era, what we did was, in order to get through the low fat era, we added sugar to things. So yogurts and fruits and fruit juices. It's all about sugar and reducing the amount of sugar. It became very popular in the 90s, still is today. In 2000s, it was all about things like paleo and keto, looking at keeping that lower carbohydrate, eating much more protein, and that's still adapted today in some degree. However, in 2010, we kind of switched all that and we went, this whole dieting thing is silly. Let's talk about intuitive eating and body acceptance. Now, I've been practicing intuitive eating since the 80s, so it wasn't brand new for me, but it became very much about body acceptance and accepting our bodies the way they were. But 2020 changed everything. It's changed everything, and it's all become about visceral fat. And that's now the new word that everybody is focused on. It's not about subcutaneous fat, which is just that kind of, if you've had a little much, enjoyed life at, Christmas time and all that stuff, you're carrying a few extra kilos. That's no big deal. It's the visceral fat that has become extremely important. And I want to share, now I shared this, I think 2 weeks ago, but I do want to share this slide that demonstrates why this is so important. An increase in visceral fat by up to 10 square centimeters is associated with a 130% higher likelihood of ICU treatment for COVID. And anywhere with a higher than, and also 132, I think it's 132, I'm trying to read off the screen, higher likelihood of medical ventilation. Visceral fat has become one of the biggest issues around helping you if you happen to catch this virus, which we probably are all going to at some point. It's a virus. It works through the population. That's what it does. But making sure you're not carrying one of the, obesity, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, those are things that are many of the comorbidities that are causing the seriousness of this virus. So you want to be making sure that you're really, really focused on this as one aspect of looking after your own health. You have to be, at this point in time, really focused on your own health and well-being. And so the emphasis shifts now. We're not talking about visceral. We're not just talking about diet and exercise anymore. There's got to be a multifaceted approach to this. So if you're just following, if you're kind of one of the people that's tapped on a few COVID kilos, as they call them, and if you're just focusing on, I must, eat well and exercise, you're wasting time. You're wasting your time, because it's a multifaceted approach that has to happen with this. And this thing we're talking about today, food cravings, is one of the things that if you can get a handle on this, you are a long way. You'll go a long, long way to really ensuring that you're not adding to the visceral fat, which increases your inflammation, of course, and we want to keep that down. So you want to think in terms of a multifaceted approach to your health and well-being. And as I mentioned on the show a couple of weeks ago, it's all about stress and good sleep, as well as eating well and exercising. But dealing with your stress, and we're going to go through this in a minute, really, really important. Really, really important. So let's look at the number one reason that undoes good intentions to eating consciously. Again, as I said, it's food cravings. Let's look at some of them. Number one, it's hormone related. We all know it. Menstrual cycles, pregnancy, and menopause can cause fluctuations, in particular the hormones estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So when you are lacking in those particular hormones, the body naturally goes seeking for ways to try and adjust that. So estrogen levels drop, but also cause our serotonin levels to drop. So it's a happy hormone. So we'll tend to go searching for foods that boost that serotonin quickly. And of course, that's often high carbohydrate, sugary foods, like chocolate or, buns or something like that just makes you feel good. Progesterone can impact on your energy and blood sugar levels. So the lack of that, as you're going through those hormonal cycles, whether that be menstruating, whether that be pregnancy or menopause, can impact on your blood sugar levels and your energy levels. And you want to reach for something that's got that quick fix again. So that can be causing food cravings. And the third is the drop in testosterone, which often happens as we move into menopause, of course. And that can lead to feelings of irritability and poor concentration. And again, when you're cranky and you can't think properly, you'll tend to reach for foods to try and give you a bit of a boost. Now, we have on our Empowered Mums TV show panel an expert in this, and that Sambo Patrick, I've just got her information down, is a hormone expert. So if you're really struggling with understanding your hormones, reach out to Sam. She's an expert in this field. And for those listening on podcasts, that's www.sambeaupatrick.com, Sambo Patrick. So if you feel that you need a real boost to your hormones, or look what's going on, reach out to Sam. She can really help you in that area. Get your hormones really regulated. The next one is nutritional deficiency that causes food cravings. And this is particular, I find, people who follow a strict low-carb diet, which is fine for a period of time, but the body will be seeking out foods that give you a boost, and that can lead to a craving. So you might, all of a sudden, you may be following a low carb diet, and all of a sudden you think, I have just got to have some hot chips, or I have just got to have a block of chocolate, or whatever it is, because the body is trying to just adjust to that. So be mindful of nutritional deficiencies. And if you're trying to do things that are too extreme for the body, your body will always tell you. So, you know, the kind of the very high protein, low carbohydrate way of living is not good for everybody. It's good for some people, but not good for everybody. So really measure your body. If you are following a very strict way of eating and you can't control those cravings, you know, look to where you can add some fruit. Look to where you can add a slice of whole wheat bread. Look to where you can add some pasta, quinoa, brown rice, whatever, because that nutritional deficiency will often, your blood sugar level drops too low, and just the general feeling like I'm doing without. You know, whenever you start on a process, you sort of go through that space where you feel like I'm going without, and that can lead to that as well. And the one that I like more and dealing with more than others is stress-related food cravings. When we choose foods to suppress an emotion, that should be an emotion, or to remind us of happier times. And, you know, whenever we're stressed, we will often try to either stuff the emotion down, or we'll reach for foods that are going to give us that real kick, that just lift our serotonin levels. And what's going on right now, of course, with this low-grade anxiety and low-grade stress that we're living with constantly, because who knows what's going to happen. You know, if you're living in Melbourne, for instance, this time last Tuesday, everything was fine. And then, you know, by Friday, everything was turned upside down. And my heart goes out to all those who really struggled during that time. But that just increases the stress. And, of course, as you know, increased stress, increased adrenaline causes the body to produce energy. If you're not using that energy, it will lay it down as visceral fat. So every time you're really stressed and you're actually not doing anything because the flight, fight, and freeze response, your cortisol levels and your adrenal levels are pushed sky high, that's energy that's got to go somewhere. The body will just lay that down as that visceral fat. So that culminated with a food craving. It adds it all on top. So, number one, I found in my experience working with hundreds of women now that there's types of foods that people tend to reach for. So things like sweet, creamy chocolate is often a desire for love or ease, perhaps remembering happier, simple times. Like, you know, you might really have a craving for ice cream, and that just reminds you of, you know, Mr. Whippy, you know, coming around when you were a kid, or cake, or chocolate, something sweet, perhaps your grandmother baked pies. And so whenever you're stressed and you're reaching for something sweet and creamy or chocolatey, that can be just a desire for love and ease and a simpler time. Crunchy chocolate, on the other hand, is often a desire to get on with it, frustration or annoyance. You might be really cranky about something, or you're chomping down on to not say anything, and that crunch and that sweet chocolate is just enough. Now, let me know if you're one of those, because I'm a crunchy chocolate girl, not a sweet creamy girl. Like I would more have a Kit Kat than a caramello. That's just, you know, that's part of my personality. Let me just grab these comments. Hey, Sandy, love to see you here. Sandy, yep, seeing that reaching for the same food, afternoon teas. Oh my Lord, you've just prompted a memory. There you go, Sandy. Yep. That's it. That's all this is finding those things. So what do we say? Crunchy chocolate is often the desire to get on with it. Frustration or annoyance, that's my go-to. Chips and crackers. Now, this is really interesting because this is often unresolved anger or feeling you can't speak your truth or trying not to speak your truth. So you'll crunch down on the chips or the crackers. It's like, I'm going to, because this is driving me crazy. You know, if you reach for something that's going to kind of stop you from saying something, or just trying to get over that anger. Now, bread, which is interesting. So if you have cravings for bread, an emotional craving for bread, this again is often a desire to return to simpler times. when life was simpler. There would not have been a household in the 60s and 70s where bread did not form the basis of many meals, whether that be, toast and Vegemite or jam for breakfast, whether that be sandwiches at school for lunch. And dinner in our house, we always had bread and butter on the table. Always. My mother's way of filling up 5 hungry children was put, white bread and butter on the table. In my memory of sitting around our dining room table at home is a big plate in the middle of bread and butter. I don't know if you had the same, let me know, but we always had bread with our meals. And so it reminds you of that simpler time. Sandy just didn't realize that was what it was. There you go. Remember, with EFT, Sandy, I don't have to tell you, but with EFT, it's always we're just getting to that, understanding what the issue is. Where bread. And that's where EFT is brilliant in helping you to ditch the emotional connection to food cravings. Because when you use tapping, when you tap, what you're doing is releasing the emotional connection to a past memory. So when you release that emotion, that connection, there's no need to reach for the food to stuff the emotion down or to deal with it or to get that serotonin hit. You're going to get that by tapping because you're releasing the emotional connection. Remember, this is all around stress and anxiety. So it's about thinking in terms of stress and anxiety. Let's have a look. Sandy, 8 slices of toast with Vegemite and jam. That was an afternoon snack, right? And it was cheap, remember? Like we didn't, Sandy, I know where you grew up. I grew up in a big family too. My parents couldn't afford to give us what everybody else's kids have now. We never had convenience foods of any sort. It was like, make yourself a sandwich. You're hungry, make yourself a sandwich. We were always walking around the house with a sandwich. White bread, lots of butter, and white bread and something. And of course, in our family was Vegemite. And my mother, oh God bless her soul, there were 5 of us in the family, 5 girls, 5 kids, plus my mum and my dad, so 7 of us. And mum would get up every single morning and make lunches for all of us. And I remember, the thing that I love most of all if we ever go to a funeral, is egg and lettuce sandwiches. Because mum used to make the best egg and lettuce sandwiches and cheese and lettuce sandwiches. You want them squishy, squishy white bread. Yum, 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 yum. Absolutely, Sandy, absolutely. So, see, as Sandy is doing on the call, is linking the things, okay? Linking it. When you link it, that's beautiful. Now, this is where I want to talk about this. The perfect recipe for visceral fat. And I'm going to, this is my new harp, visceral fat, especially if you're over the age of 45, especially as you're into your 50s and 60s. You have to focus on this. Your health and well-being is relying on you understanding this. We no longer can play victim to this any longer. You have to be 100% responsible for your health and well-being, and that means what you eat and what you do and what you think and what you say daily. Diet and exercise is so last century when it comes to releasing weight. It's so last century. This has all shifted. COVID shifted everything. 2020 changed everything. So in this, it's got to be a multifaceted approach now. That's what we need, a multifaceted approach. Do you know, I was on a call the other day with a woman or a woman who teaches about manifesting money in abundance, which is great. Great call, by the way. But I was sitting there thinking, I thought, well, what is the point of manifesting money in your life if you are not well enough, energized enough, focused enough to A, enjoy it, and B, make good decisions about it? Your health and well-being have to be a priority right now, more so than ever before. Your immunity must be strong. This virus isn't going to go, there's no magic cure to this. It's a virus. It will go around the world. Dr. Zach Bush says probably about 3 years. Flu the same. And your job is to build your immunity. Your job is to stay energized and healthy. So once you've done that, then you can move on to everything else. But, many of you know, I've been watching, I had a fall last week and fractured a bone in my foot. Can I tell you, a week of being incapacitated, and not being able to move around as easily as I normally do, has been a real aha for me. I never, ever want something like this to happen again. It was an accident, yeah, well, depends what you believe. I was thinking something. But it made me very aware of, you have to be mindful of your thoughts, because the universe will step right in. And this is all part of it. You've got to look after your health and well-being first as a priority. Now, what's interesting is that, all these things show up in our lives, relationships, bank account, body relationships, bank account are the three main areas of our lives, and they're the areas that many people struggle with, one or more of those areas. But the path to healing one is the path to healing all. So when you figure out one, whether that's your body, you'll figure out everything else. That's how it works, because you're thinking clearly, you're not worried about your weight, you're not feeling like you're low in energy, you're not feeling blah, you're not going, oh, nothing fits me, I can't stand this. That's the way it works. So, perfect recipe for visceral fat. Take a year of unpredictability and uncertainty, add a dash of low-grade stress and anxiety, add copious amounts of cortisol and adrenaline, which we're pumping on at the moment, bake in a plethora of food cravings, and try and boost your serotonin levels and feel better, and you have the perfect recipe for visceral fat. Perfect recipe. The easiest solution, and these are the top 4 principles, principle 3, 4, and 5 of the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter principles, and that's meditation, EFT, and exercise. Those things must go together, as well as eating consciously, to reduce stress and increase serotonin, because the minute you've got those serotonin boosts, you just look at life differently. It feels so different. Let me grab some of the comments again. Sandy, Mum would say, you haven't had anything to eat. And I'd say, Mum, I just ate 8 slices of bread. That's right. But better have dinner, huh? bread's not nutritious. It just fills you up. Flick the switch and feel alive are the words I hear. Yeah, Sandy. Lovely. As you can see, what Sandy's kind of putting together the whole thing and understanding it now. And that's what our role is right now, is not to play victim in this. Link it. If you are struggling with food cravings, rule out any hormonal issues, rule out nutrition deficiencies, read about nutrition, find out about nutrition. God, the books are coming like hard and fast at the moment. And by using that in a combination, it is absolutely brilliant. And of course, what can I say? EFT can do it just like that. Tip of the fingers. So I wanted to just share with you, I do have a little mini course, a digital course. It's the Mastering EFT Mini Course with a video series. And what it is, I've got, it's how to use EFT properly. And also 3 bonus videos in there. So there's I think there's 6 videos in the Mastering EFT Properly goes through that, plus a tapping video on weight loss. And bonus on top of that is 3 videos on tapping, on one on bread, one on chocolates and sweets, and one on crunchy foods. So that's all available. That's for the US link. I'll pop all these in the show notes. And then there's that's the Australian link. That's the US link. If you want to have this in your library, and I've got a special on for this next month, and it's only $27. So I will put a link. If you're interested, I'll put a link up. It's only $27. You get the Mastering EFT, the personal use video series, plus how to tap for weight loss. You also get the 3 videos on tapping on chocolate, tapping on bread, and tapping on chips and crunchy foods, and an ebook copy of my book, Tapping to Reclaim You. And it's also available on Coin. So DM me for more information if you'd like to purchase this on Coin. All right, we are at the end of our show again today. So I encourage you to check out the Mastering EFT course. I just might put it in the comments, actually. Let me see if I can do that. And I can, where do I put it? Where to put it? Oh, comments. I put it, I just had a real blank then. There is the one for, where we go, paste. I didn't copy and paste it. Well, there you go. Why don't you, hold on a second, people. Let me just get this up. I'm going to edit that. I'm going to click the link. Oh, lordy. I tell you, a week on painkillers and I'm not real good. I'm so glad to get off them. Oh, I would rather be in a little bit of pain than just out to lunch like I was. It's not going for some. Oh, I know, right? I don't have the keyboard connected. There it is. It's in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being on today and putting up with me. I hope you've enjoyed today's show, the Stronger, Leaner and Lighter show. Let me know if I can help you in any way with any food cravings. If you've got more questions, just ask them under here. I'll pop back on after the show and check them out. In the meantime, look after that body of yours. It's the only one you've got. You've got it for a long time. Make sure that you're looking after it. Don't get another one, this one. Have a great week, everybody. I shall see you on next Wednesday on the Stronger, Leaner and Lighter show. See you then. Bye.